Hi, I'm Wahid, and I want to share with you my top 7 tips for learning how to code. So, the first one is you want to, learning how to code, it's definitely a mental exercise. So, you want to engage your brain with multiple activities. So, I'm talking about, not just watching videos like this one, but, listening to podcasts. While you're watching or listening, if possible, take notes. It could be handwritten notes. It could be, notes that you're typing in Notepad while you're listening or while you're watching. But anything you can do to engage your brain in multiple activities will reinforce what you're learning. It will make it so that even your subconscious will pick up. Hey, maybe this is actually important. I should pay attention to this because this hand's doing this thing and this hand's doing that thing and the eyes are doing this and the ears are doing that, and you get all these senses coming in and activities, especially if you're writing. At the same time, it will cause your brain to say, hey, this is important, I need to pay attention to this. The second tip is take action and write some code. It won't be good at first, but that's okay. If all you're doing is studying, and you are following the multiple activities like I just mentioned, but if all you're doing is studying, you're not going to really develop that skill to be able to write code. And you'll see this the first time. You might watch a whole bunch of videos and listen to everything. You might spend weeks and think, all right, I've built up the knowledge. I know how to do this. And you sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to try to write something. And you're going to get stuck. And you'll think, how is it possible that I could spend all this time studying and I still don't know how to write something so simple? And that disconnect, that level between, you thought you should be at this level and you write the code and you realize that, hey, I'm actually down here, is going to it's going to be depressing and discouraging. So don't let that happen while you're learning. Before you build up your skills to what you think is a high level, at the same time, while you're still down here, write some code and let both of them advance at the same time. You'll build your mental skills and you'll actually build your real world skills of being able to write code. All right, my third tip is be ready to use small windows of time to learn how to code. I've mentioned this before. If you are standing in line at a grocery store, if you're waiting in a car, use that opportunity. If you have podcasts you're listening to, make sure that they're loaded on your phone and ready to listen to. If you have a book like this one that you can get at takeupcode.com, have it with you at all times, so that when you're ready, you keep it in your backpack, keep it in your car, wherever, so that when you have those 5 or 10 minutes, you can pick it up and you can read something. All right. The fourth tip is explain what you're doing to other people. Explain what you're learning. This really takes your skill up a whole new level. You might think that, hey, like I said, you're building up your knowledge and you're building up your skills. Try explaining it to somebody else and listen to the questions that they ask and think to yourself, wow, how did I not explain that well? How could I make it easier? How could I simplify it? That will actually reinforce your learning. I know when I was in school, I actually studied electrical engineering, not programming, but my level of understanding of electronics increased drastically when I got a job as a faculty assistant. And one of the jobs that I had to do as a faculty assistant was I would sit in on the lectures and I would watch the classroom And when somebody would raise their hand for a question, uh, the professor wouldn't always stop the lecture to answer that question. It would be up to somebody like me to go out quietly next to that person and try to answer their question directly. So that really took my skills up a whole new level, and I recommend that you do something the same, is trying to explain what you're doing or what you're learning to other people. So number five, hopefully I'm counting these correctly, but number five is accept that you're going to make mistakes. And I'm going to take this to a whole new level and actually celebrate your errors. When you make a mistake, don't think it is like, oh man, I can't believe I made that mistake. Take it as like, yes, I made a mistake. Just that little shift in how you perceive errors will make all the difference, because we actually learn a lot from our mistakes. So don't see it as a setback or as something that you should be ashamed of. See it as something like, hey, that's an opportunity. I can actually learn from that. So it is something that, errors, failures, mistakes, they should be celebrated, because that's when you'll actually get the most out of them, the most benefit from them. All right, number 6. I want you to find, and this is important, find small projects to keep you motivated and provide quick successes. Later, you can go to bigger projects, but when you're coming up with your own projects, try to keep them small, especially when you're first learning the concepts. When you're first learning how to use ints, and when you're first learning, the differences between floats and doubles, and should you use multiple bools, or should you use enum, or things like this. Try to take those concepts and apply them in a project, but try to keep it small and simple. And the reason for that is, a big project is great, but when you're first learning, you don't want to go months and months before you can actually see some results. You want to see something that's going to get the brain engaged and say, wow, I did this. And if I can do this, maybe I can take the next step and do something else. So that's important. Now, in this book, How to Code C++ from a Simple Idea to a Game You'll Understand, I would say, let me flip here, there's probably about somewhere around here is all of this part of the book is devoted to a game. It's actually an adventure game. The first part of the book is devoted to the fundamental skills. Now, when you're doing something like this, I chose a large game because I wanted to tie together all of those skills. But even that, I show you that game in an agile manner. So we develop something simple. We start out with just Hello World, and we take it from there, and we build it up. So at many points throughout the game, you actually have something working, something that you can see, something that you can run, and you can even show it to other people. So it does provide you that that quick success that you're looking for. I can do that because I've got a lot of experience, and I know how to take a project, make it simple, and show you these things in such a way that you can get these quick successes. But when you're coming up with your own projects initially, my guidance is keep them small, keep them relevant. Find projects that you're interested in. It doesn't have to be games. If you're interested in finances, or if you're interested in business, maybe create a program that will track some statistics, or some key metric that you use in your business, whatever it happens to be. Maybe you're trying to memorize something, and you're using a memory technique, and you want to associate, for instance, numbers with concepts. I think they call this the standard technique or something like that. Maybe you want to write a small application that will let you help memorize, kind of like a flashcard application. That would be something small that not only provides you a good win, but you would find it useful in what you're trying to do. So that's Number 6. Okay, number 7, I've saved this for the last, is to be consistent and do something to learn every day. Even if it, I mentioned before, be ready with small windows of learning opportunity, but this tip is more about making sure that you do those every day. If you've gone the whole day and you're getting ready for bed, instead of just laying down, maybe just take 10 minutes and pick something. If you're tired, maybe you just want to watch a quick video, maybe you want to listen to a podcast, something along those lines. And if you find that you're too tired at the end of the day to do something like that, then maybe make sure that you set aside during your lunch hour to listen to something. Learning podcasts is a great way, or I should say, listening to podcasts is a great way to learn how to code. And by the way, I have a podcast on Take Up Code. It focuses on concepts. So subscribe and start listening to that. Highly recommend it. But the point is, if you're like, for instance, I used to work in New York City, and during my lunch break, I would walk out to go to some a small place to get something to eat. I like to go get sandwiches or something along those lines, and I would have maybe a 10 to 15 minute walk to get there. I'd put my earphones in, I'd turn the podcast on, and I would listen to something. Sometimes I would watch videos also. It's probably not the best advice to give for that, especially if you're walking along a busy New York street, to be, having your eyes down, glued to your phone while you're walking. I wouldn't recommend that. Sometimes I would do it though. But the point is to be consistent and learn something every day. All right, so those are my 7 tips. If you follow those, I'm sure you will get a lot of improvement in learning how to code. All right, thanks. Bye.